Whiplash.
Whiplash.
Claire, what made you choose Whiplash this week?
It's one of these films that's been on my radar for a while. I think it was like really well received when it came out. It was 10 years ago or something, less than that. And I wanted to see it at the time and never did, and it seemed like a good opportunity to see it.
Good an explanation as any.
Yeah, it's not a very exciting explanation. What did everyone think?
It was good. Sorry.
It was good. Yeah, tell us why you thought it was good.
Well, his acting was convincing. The first time I watched it, I had seen it before. I did go to the cinema and watched it. So the first time I saw it, I could not tell whether he was a drummer or an actor. And I decided that he was a drummer. And turns out that he's not a drummer.
He's not a drummer?
No. But
he's so good at drumming.
He's so good at drumming. Well, I guess that makes him a drummer. He's just not that's not his main activity in life.
Wow.
And I guess I did not give it much thought to the method of teaching music. So I was just, I guess, impressed by everything that happened and by the music. But now that I've seen it again, I guess that I've seen some other things, and my opinion is a little bit more. I guess I'm just a little bit more confused, but still thought it was good.
Cool. Confused is the word that I would use for my reaction to this film. I feel like I missed something, and there was some level of this that I didn't understand. Did you get that feeling, Laura?
No. Now I'm confused.
What did you think?
I think I really liked it. I'm not sure. It lost me a bit in the third act, but then the sort of final climax totally won me over again, and I was like, oh, this is a great film. Love it. But yeah, it lost me a little bit on the way. I started to think about what it was trying to say and do. Oh, I suppose maybe then I was a little bit confused because I don't really know what it was trying to say. Or if it was trying to say anything, or if it was just being about, this is about an abusive relationship that's reaching its natural conclusion. Who knows? Anyway, I liked it. That's the sum of it. Claire, what did you think?
I think I liked it, but I found it very uncomfortable to watch. Again.
Me too.
Much like Gaslight.
It was a good pairing for Gaslight, wasn't it?
Yeah. I thought it was over about an hour in. I was like, all right, you've told the story. We can all move on now. And then I realised there was another half an hour afterwards. I think it would have made a good episode of a TV show or something. But yeah, it just felt very, very simple, and was maybe a bit sort of hitting you over the head with its point. Maybe lacked subtlety, but maybe I just missed the subtlety.
What was its point?
J.K. Simmons, bad man.
Yeah.
People with talent try hard. Like, the people who are the best can't be beaten down. Young drummer, really talented, was pretty much what I got from it.
Is that the conclusion then, that the teacher is a really bad man, but you can't get someone down if they're going to be great?
I don't think so. I think it's just that he's just a bad guy and that they're just exploring the nuances of this, or not the nuances, because I'm not sure there was that much nuance, but they're just showcasing their particular relationship and watching it sort of progress and fall and things like that. But then I believe that it was trying to show us the characters' motivations with this kind of like greatness can't be stamped down and it needs to be, genius comes from torture and things like that. But I don't think that's what the film was saying. I think it was just a character portrayal and a relationship portrayal. But I might be wrong. I'm not sure.
I think I somehow agree with you, as in, I don't think that genius comes with torture. I think that genius perhaps comes with practice, which is what, was it Andrew? Yeah, I think that's what Andrew did, as in he did put a lot of effort into it. And maybe we are meant to just think that indeed the orchestra director was a bad person, but Andrew, the drummer, also wanted to show that he, put a lot of effort and he became good, as opposed to having been born a genius, like we are meant to believe of many people like Mozart, and he was just born with that ability. Yes, that's what I thought.
Why do you disagree, Michael? What do you think?
I think this is what it's coming down to. I don't quite know what the film was getting at. I definitely think that, what was the name of the teacher?
Fletcher.
He was Fletcher and the drummer was Andrew. So I thought Fletcher's Terence
Fletcher, that was his name.
Terence Fletcher, yeah. So I thought Fletcher's approach to motivating people and teaching people is a terrible one that doesn't really work. And I thought it was interesting to see that insight into his character, where he explains why he's doing it, and you can see how someone can believe that. He hears this story of Charlie Parker, the greatest musician ever, and he says, I can do the next one of those. It doesn't matter how many people you torture, because when you hit the real person, you could make someone great, and that's wonderful, isn't it? And I thought, okay, that's his point of view, and they expressed that quite well. But then in the last scene, it seemed like they were kind of saying he was right.
So that
he was being validated. Yes,
he was right after all, and so what a good bloke. And he gave him a nod and started conducting him, and good lad, all sorted. They all lived happily ever after. But it just can't have been that that's what they were trying to get at. But there wasn't much commentary, and we didn't see what happened after that. And I, as I say, I feel like I missed something. What was it getting at? Was it saying that he's brilliant and it really did work and it brought out the best musician in him, but he's estranged from his pretty girlfriend and he's never going to be able to interact with people properly, so there's a downside? Or is it saying that he succeeded in spite of Fletcher? It just didn't quite develop that enough for me to understand. Can someone...
I don't think... yes. I don't think it was about music. This film wasn't about music at all. It could have been about anything. And the end was literally just about the seductive power. It was about what, sorry?
Mathematics.
Maths.
No, but I was
yes,
just
exactly.
joking.
It was about math.
Music is just mathematics, so really.
That's what this film would have you believe, but I don't think that's what jazz
It was
is
about
anyway.
fractals.
Oh, God. Get them away from me. Yeah, I think it was just showing, like, he's literally, he's just been seduced again by this man in this presence, like a moth to a flame.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like this, we've entered into crazy dreamland territory where he's finally getting the validation that he's been craving the entire film. So that's the film's emotional payoff, but there's an element of like a dreamlike kind of quality about it. I don't know. That was my initial... I only finished watching the film at 6 on the dot, so I haven't really processed it.
You mean you left the film really late and haven't had time to think about it properly? That doesn't sound like you.
I've been busy thinking about fractals.
Well, that's fair enough.
They need my time and attention to be the best fractals they can be. Anyway. Those are my thoughts, but someone else chime in. I don't know. Maybe it was about music. Maybe it was about genius and the cost of it. I don't know.
I think that Andrew was great on his own, and that, yes, maybe a teacher can influence you, but he was great regardless of whom was teaching him. As in, if he was going to be great, even if he did not have Terence Fletcher. Had he had a better teacher, perhaps he would have been even better. But but he was already great. As in, I think he was going to be great even without Terence Fletcher.
Okay. So he succeeded in spite of this terrible abuse he suffered.
Yes, so that's what I perhaps was trying to say. Yes, so he succeeded even though he was being tortured by this person.
And not because he was being tortured.
Exactly, yes.
Interesting. That does kind of make sense, because he sort of flourishes once he's been away from Fletcher and is able to come back, and as a kind of... I don't know.
But so that's exactly what they were saying that Fletcher had said. He said about Charlie Parker, someone threw a symbol at his head, and then a year later he came back with this virtuoso performance. And then that's exactly what happens to Andrew, because Badman was right. Genius has to fight against oppression, otherwise it's not genius. And if there is genius there, it will win through. I feel like Andrew's story exactly mirrored the story about Charlie Parker.
I guess
and that only
did.
served to validate Terence.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a wildly inaccurate portrayal of what real life is like.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we can just have to look at Michael Torpius, and nobody tortured him. And he is a genius.
I'm a successful product of people being nice to me my entire life, and I've just managed to get along. And there's place for a little, stern encouragement sometimes. But yeah, I haven't got where I am.
Are you the Charlie Parker of maths, though?
I'm not the Charlie Parker of maths. So that's the question. Maybe I'd be some great, incredible mathematician who would have a huge, successful research career and stuff.
I think Charlie Parker would be a terrible mathematician. Or whatever. You're the Carl Gauss of maths. The new Carl Gauss of maths. Yes.
Yes. But I think this is an exciting little story that people maybe tell themselves, but I think the reality, like everything I know about how to teach people and how to bring out the best in people, is to encourage people and give them confidence in their ability and allow them the freedom to explore and motivate themselves. This kind of extreme negative hostile feedback might be good for weeding out the weak or whatever, but it's not. It doesn't help people improve or achieve greatness. At least I don't think it does.
I think this is an example of correlation not being causality, because Andrew is awfully abused and told he needs to practice as part of that abuse. And the practicing makes him better. Whether he needed abuse, whether the cause of that practice is abuse or someone saying, you could be really good, but you really need to practice more. In a friendly, encouraging way, that's never really explored. And I don't think it. I think there will be coincidences. There will be times where someone is treated like that and they practice and become great. But I think it's in spite of the abuse.
and therefore, what the hell was this film about? Like, this is what I'm saying I'm missing. Was there some detail where it's like it's telling us something else? Is it just asking questions and leaving it to us to decide what we think for ourselves? It seemed like they focused so hard on how abusive and terrible this man was and how much he was fucking up people's lives that they can't possibly be like, the message of the film is that this is a good way to bring out the best in people.
I can't see another ending that would be as good, though. I think it was one of those things where they don't really know what they're trying to say, but they just go for the best. Yeah, it's exciting, is it? Were you not? I was captivated.
Yeah, I
Well,
also
they
found
did
it
some good
exciting.
drumming, for sure.
Well, I
Well,
didn't
that
think it
was
could end another way. Well, what would you do?
My alternative ending would have Andrew finding a kindly mentor, more Mr. Miyagi, who teaches him to be an amazing drummer. And then at the end, Fletcher comes up and says, "Oh, do you know what? You're the new Charlie Parker."
That would be a rubbish end. That's the worst. I mean, it would be technically like a morally good end, but like more unsatisfying to watch unfold. Of just being like, okay, yeah, that was that. I guess I know what the
like
message
giving
is.
him the nod. Yeah, like that. You could the nod at the end. You could just have the nod from Fletcher when he sees him give his virtuoso performance, and him admitting he was wrong. That would
But he
be
did
satisfying.
that. That's what he did. He basically admitted he was wrong. Or maybe he didn't. No, you're right.
He did admit he was wrong.
No.
He admitted
But he
that
gave him the nod. He was like, yeah, okay, you are a genius. Well done.
you are a genius. I created you.
But that would have happened anyway. You know, whether he'd been part of Fletcher's band performance or not, I think Fletcher would have been like, well, there you go. That was the price that you paid. Well done, me. Unless, I suppose, he got the kindly other mentor. But that's very on the nose.
Very on the nose.
It's too on the nose. I like my endings with a heavy dose of ambivalence. I don't know if that's true. Don't quote me on that later.
I'm quoting on you on that every time.
I mean, there's something in what you're saying. You want a satisfying ending, but let us compare this film to the last film, Gaslight. That had a satisfying ending because the baddie got done, got found out, got his life ruined, and then she managed to rub his face in it, and the good were victorious, and he got what was coming to him. That was what I wanted from this film. He got sacked from his job in the school. That was one thing. But I wanted him to be... But the good ending for me would be like, yeah, he's played this horrible trick on Andrew, and then Andrew, plays the set anyway, and he plays it better than what would have been on the thing because he just has to improvise, and he's such a good drummer. He improvises anyway, and then he horribly embarrasses Fletcher and ruins his whole career, and then he goes on and becomes the teacher himself, and we see a scene from 10 years later where he is teaching the students and he's encouraging them and making them well-rounded individuals as well as making them good musicians. Bam.
That's so
film.
on the nose. Guys, come on.
Well, or, I don't know, like he murders Fletcher or something. There's got to be something that's not just then they play the drums, then it's the credits. Like, I just didn't even know what to think. Like, they might as well all have got up and, done a big song and dance number where they held hands and there were fireworks or something. I don't know. They gave us this amazing spectacle that in no way wrapped up the film.
I just disagree. Maybe I loved Fletcher too much.
Well, maybe. The problem is that Fletcher was so horrible.
I craved his approval as much as Andrew did, so the end was perfectly satisfying for me. All I wanted to do was to have Andrew impress him.
Was that what you were hoping for?
I don't know. I wasn't really hoping for anything. I was sort of just along for the ride, and then it ended. And I was like, great, amazing.
But he nods. He's been known to use praise as a form of abuse as well. We don't even know if that nod was him actually saying, "Oh, actually, you're a genius," or like when he told the other drummer what he'd done was perfect, just to annoy Andrew. Is this part of another setup? Is he nodding at him to be like, "Oh yeah, I'm really impressed by you," and then he's going to just like shaft him again, which I don't know.
I think it's definitely that. There's no way he's changed. He doesn't actually respect Andrew at all. This is just... I mean, I think he does respect him. I think it was the better performance that deserved the nod, but that was still... That couldn't not be part of his sort of abusive psyche. I don't know. Fernando, what do you think? Weigh in. I can't form my thoughts.
I think that I maybe agree with Laura more, just because I think that life isn't always like we think it is, and maybe it doesn't have to be like we want it to be. And I think that life is so complex that it can certainly end just like the movie did. And we are left not knowing what to do next. As in, is Andrew going to go back to a musical relationship with Terence Fletcher? We do not know. He might, and that's okay, even though he was abusive. Or maybe he just performed that one time because he felt like he needed to, but then he's going to go and do something else, and that's also okay. I take this film as just a slice of life that one will experience many things that maybe we never thought we would experience, and they're confusing. And we can all take from those experiences whatever we might want to take from them, because ultimately, as Oscar Wilde said, those who read under the symbol do so at their peril. So interpret whatever you want to interpret, and however you want to conduct your life afterwards. There's no right answer.
Okay.
Lovely. I think that's where I'm at as well.
Well, it seems to me that that's the only valid reading of what this film was getting at, right? It's just that there wasn't a message. There was just some stuff that happened. And now you need to go and make up your own mind about what happens next. And I think my problem with that is that so then it was just porn. It was just like sitting down and watching a man shout for 2 hours. What was the point of this? It was good drumming. If this was like a music film, that's something. If I was a jazz musician, I'm sure I'd have really got something out of that. A bit like, I don't know, dance movies or whatever, where people just want to see dancing. Well, Soul had a lot more going for it. It explored a lot of concepts. I'm thinking of like
Step Up to the Streets.
Step Up to the Streets.
Basically,
it's just dance porn. It's just a vehicle for big dance numbers. And this was just a vehicle for drumming. But then why was almost all of it abusive yelling? What am I getting from it? I mean, maybe the fact that we're talking about it means something, but also it's not because we're unsure about whether that's an appropriate tactic to take when you're trying to teach someone the drums. I think anybody would agree, right, that it's not.
Well, Yeah, no problem.
It's very prevalent in like music tuition though. Like my violin teacher at school was a dick like him. Would like shout and get really angry if you weren't good enough and stuff. We do sort of accept that, I think, a lot. It's part of the reason I found it uncomfortable is because, yeah, I empathised a lot with the chubby kid who got kicked out.
Yeah.
For not knowing he was in tune. I felt that a lot.
Oh, yeah, he was a real bastard, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He really
was. Just a bully.
Yeah, he was just a horrible bully, and you just really wanted someone to stand up to him. But I can also understand why you might think that would result in you getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
Or just have more horrendous abuse hurled at you.
Yeah, so it seems that some of them were too scared to say anything, but I think some of them respected him too much and were convinced of his genius. And that was interesting to see.
Yeah, what did he have to back that up? Was he...
I wish I knew music more, because then we could tell if his performance at the jazz club was any good. But I was like, it seems fine to me.
Yeah.
I mean, he seemed to be a pretty good director because he could tell who was not playing on tune and on tempo, as in he could rightly identify in between many people in the orchestra who was not on tune, and he did seem to know some things about music.
Yeah, I think they made it clear that he does know his stuff.
But I know a lot of musicians who can pick out which instrument is out of tune and can judge tempo amazingly.
So was he exceptional?
Yeah, I don't know.
Did he measure up to his own standards?
Well, maybe that was the issue. Yeah, I feel like more of his story might have helped. You know, was he like this failed musician who now took it out on young people, or was he this superstar who had, like at the peak of his amazing career, decided he wanted to share his gift? It was just a horrible man shouting at people. That was all we got, really, of his character.
Maybe we're meant to know that maybe he is indeed a little bit crazy, because he did blatantly lie about how Sean Casey died.
Yeah, that was dodge.
Yeah, so another unsatisfying lack of background or lack of depth somehow.
Yeah, I think it could have had a bit more nuance. I'm in the camp that this was just a kind of like character. I'm sure there's a word for it, where it's just about two characters and their relationship and not really about plot or anything else.
Yeah, but then not really about the two characters either, because we don't really know anything about either of their backgrounds. We saw a bit more of I'm so bad with the names of Andrew.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like it it lacked that kind of depth, I think.
Yeah.
It tried to give us it a bit. I think because it was just about those two that maybe we didn't need so much background, but then I suppose it would have clarified some questions.
Yeah, and it tried to tell us about other stuff. Like it wasn't just a scene with the two of them, was it? We had the girlfriend and the dad, and they were both characters. I think
all revolved around the two of them through the medium of drumming. But there was nothing that wasn't about their relationship. Like his drumming became quickly wrapped up in his mentor, Fletcher.
I suppose so, yeah.
And then all of his other relationships were filtered through that. I was surprised by how immediately he cast off the girl that he liked.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't see, it wasn't really like a massive arc or anything that he realised he wanted to sacrifice. It was pretty much as soon as he started going out with her, he was like, "That's enough of that."
Yeah, it wasn't long, was it? Yeah, it's tricky.
Who knows?
So I thought they were going to drop the big twist at some point.
Ooh.
And we were going to discover something drastic that changed the entire film, and that's why it was just sort of meandering and everything would click into place. And I was very surprised when the credits started rolling. I thought we had a bit longer and we'd see what all of this is really about. The theory I'd come up with was that when he was in the car crash, he nearly died and was in hospital, and all of this was a coma dream. Or like his dying thoughts before he died. I thought he was going to be there on stage, like playing the drums, and then like we'd see that actually he's still just bleeding in the car, or he is in a hospital bed and he hasn't moved in 6 months, and and everything would somehow click into place. All of this weird stuff that didn't quite make sense would suddenly be like, oh, I see what he was doing. In his head, he was still thinking about drums, and he was still thinking about how he was going to try and get through, and he'd given up on drums, and that was him giving up on living. But then he started to play again. He found some drive, and that will be him making a recovery after all, and then he's going to wake up and something like that. But no, it just ended, and it was just about drums.
I think I'd have been really angry if it was a coma dream. Like, I think the film was giving us a wry little wink. And I don't know what it meant, but I liked it.
Yeah. It was definitely giving some kind of signal, as if to say, hey, what do you think of that?
Yeah, exactly.
And all I can think is like, I don't know. What is this? You made a film? What happens next? Were you as unsatisfied as I was, Claire?
I don't think I was as unsatisfied.
Yeah.
Because I kind of enjoyed the story for the story's sake.
Okay.
I don't think a story for story's sake has to be all sunshine and rainbows. And I think there was, in some ways, quite a realistic depiction of how someone can be abused by a mentor and still desperately seek their approval.
Yeah, okay.
And not be able to break out of that cycle. And yeah, like I think that if there was a message, I think it was unsatisfying I feel like J.K. Simmons, Fletcher, was vindicated in the end, and I feel like that was bad. I think if there had been a slightly different ending where he'd realised the error of his ways, or Andrew had realised he didn't need his approval, and that Andrew is great, and that is in spite of knobhead Fletcher, that would have been a better ending and would have made it a more satisfying film. But I think as something entertaining to watch for an hour and a half, it was fine. I quite liked it.
Oh, I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a massive, I think you have to at least not hate listening to drumming
Yeah.
to get something out of it. I think it was sort of well filmed and stuff. It felt...
Apparently they filmed it all in 19 days.
Wow.
Not bad.
Was that a deliberate decision? Because 19 is prime, so maybe it does have to do with mathematics and factors.
Oh, yeah. That'll be it.
God, how much hidden maths was in this film?
Oh, man.
How much hidden maths
hidden
is in
maths.
every film? Maths is truly everywhere.
In royalty?
In royalty.
In Whiplash?
In God.
Yes.
In Whiplash.
So I think there is something for saying that this isn't just about drumming, because I think that kind of, abusive mentoring does go on in all sorts of different walks of life, right? Whether it's as extreme as that, I don't know, but I hear people saying that this kind of thing comes up in academia. Happy to say I've never experienced it, but I think there's, the sort of competitive job market and everything that can sometimes feed into this sort of thing, or this sort of thing being allowed to continue. So maybe that's the sort of wider point, that this is not just about these two people, it's something that happens all the time. But then that makes it seem even worse if they're saying that works.
Oh, yeah.
I think you've all crucified me for saying that everything has to have a moral point. Remember when we watched, what was it? That film about the boy?
Boyhood.
And I got angry about the way that they portrayed the women. And everyone was like, well, it doesn't always have to be a message, a social message. And I'm just saying that this
right.
film. It doesn't need to make any point.
It doesn't need to make any point. So I think our assertion there was that you were taking one character and making that stand in for everybody of a particular race or class. So but maybe what I'm trying to do now is similar in that I'm saying, this story about him being ending up as an amazing drummer because of the abusive tutoring I've had, that's upsetting to me, because they're trying to say that that's true of everyone, which they're not necessarily. They're maybe just saying it about this one person. It's a story about one person who has ended up being great, and it's not saying that applies to everyone. But if it's not, then I don't care. If it's not, then what did I watch?
maybe you're all right. This just came to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is a moral message, because what did he actually achieve? Nothing. He became very technically good on the drums. He didn't. He's not famous. He's not great. He's not well known. All he wanted really was to be hero worshipped, which I think is why he asked the women to come, because he wants to be recognised and worshipped rather than he has any interest in her. But all we saw was him sacrifice, his intense relationship with his dad. We saw his dad just being so concerned and awful. The girl didn't come. She doesn't give a shit about him.
He fucks up every other part of his life.
Is get a little glimmer of approval from this guy. And that's all that there is. There's no other... He didn't really win, or... I don't know. You're right. Who knows? Who cares exactly? I don't know.
I think the implication was that this could be great for his career because there's all sorts of influential people watching. And that's why he was so worried about embarrassing himself.
But they're not anymore, because the guy's lost all credibility in his professional life. We don't even know who the audience is.
Yeah. It's a weird one. And that, in a way, the whole final scene didn't really ring true for me because of this bizarre trap that he'd laid. Where he's like, we're going to play this one. Oh, no, we're not. We're playing this other one. This is going to ruin your career. And I just thought, would you not just stand up and say, Fletcher, what the hell are you doing? You told me to learn this one. Now you don't have a drummer. Well done. And then that would ruin Fletcher's career, given that he's already had to leave a school in disgrace for bullying people. It just... is he willing to risk his own career for that prank. And that just didn't quite ring true that would be his master stroke, giving him the wrong sheet music. Again, unless that's a symbol for something, and
symbolism time.
Symbolism time.
Symbolism. Did you get it? Symbol.
Symbolism. I like it.
Wait, I have a flute. Can I play it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
please.
Okay. What's a crocodile flute, actually?
Wow.
That was
Not my tempo.
No!
That was cool.
Bring me pictures of Spider-Man. Symbolism.
Now we've had the symbolism flute. Yeah, so he is in a hospital bed because and that's why it's called Whiplash, right? I was sure that this was going to be like, that's the piece, but actually it's a film about him recovering from a life-threatening injury. I was waiting for the other meaning of why is the film called Whiplash? I was waiting for that to come up, and I just never really got there. But is that an interpretation that works?
I think that's an interpretation
the
that works.
second half of the film is in his head.
I mean, you could say that about any film with any kind of accident in it, though.
Yeah.
Like
it's
the
an
Muppets
easy one to
Take Manhattan.
try. But it works best in films that don't really go anywhere in the second half.
Yeah, I think it does work. It does. There's nothing I could use to contradict it.
Yeah.
Which is good, I think. It works. Claire?
I mean, yeah, it was all a dream, whatever.
You see my problem with this film? It's just, I don't know what... Yeah, any of it could have been anything. Other symbols, something less crazy.
That's actually how quantum mechanics works, right? As in, there are like infinitely many universes, and literally anything is possible.
And any part of the film, if you look closely at it, is self-similar and looks like the entire film.
Christ.
It's a fractal!
Of course it is. Is this all my fever dream?
Yes. We all abandoned the film club 2 years ago because we couldn't bring ourselves to have another meeting after the Oscars.
Oh, sad. No, terribly sad.
Some of the films don't even really exist.
Gaslight doesn't exist.
Gaslight doesn't exist.
So I think that Andrew is Jesus Christ, because after being tortured, after being killed and crucified, then he dies, but then comes back 3 days afterwards, and he's not a human, he's God.
Oh, well done. He rose again.
Oh, yes. That's perfect. Yeah. He's crucified in that he's like, he's thrown out in disgrace, covered in blood, just about recovers. But he comes back.
And now
he's better than anyone.
Yes.
That totally works.
Yeah, and Fletcher giving him the nod. Is like
Longinus.
The whole of Europe becoming Christian. Who's Longinus?
Well, the centurion person who threw the spear to Jesus Christ and killed him.
Oh, yeah. Who then became a Christian?
Who, I don't know what happened to him.
Oh, okay. Well, if that's what happened, then that's definitely who that guy is.
Who's Moby Dick? someone's Moby Dick. This is a film about obsession, hatred.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so Captain Ahab is Fletcher.
Yeah.
And his, like, a drummer that has perfect rhythm is Moby Dick.
Yes.
But he never quite finds that drummer until the end, which is when Andrew does have perfect
was the
rhythm
white
and
whale all along.
smashes the ship to pieces with his drumsticks, which is his tail.
Excellent.
I think his former friend drummer is Moby Dick.
Yeah.
His former friend's drummer.
The drummer who was the lead drummer of the first orchestra before
the ginger
he
guy
joined the
Or the other brown haired guy.
Connolly? Was it Connolly?
maybe
Or the other
I can't
one.
remember his name.
3.
Not the one that was already part of the elite group of musicians, but the other one. The third drummer that came to the orchestra.
I think it was Connolly.
Yes, I think that was his name. It could be. I have some more symbolism.
Okay.
Right.
Can anyone guess what it is?
Is it the drum kit?
No. It's... I feel like I say this quite a lot.
Oh, okay. Who was gay?
They were all gay!
They were all gay.
Wait, there was a person who was supposed to be gay, yes?
Yeah, there was one gay character.
I mean, you don't have a main character who's that homophobic without him also being gay. Just saying.
Was he homophobic?
But the...
He most definitely was.
Fletcher.
I think he was everything phobic, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Just any characteristic he'd have a go at. But yeah, he certainly said some very homophobic things.
The way that they were holding the drumsticks sometimes was very suggestive, phallic. The end was them having a final orgasm. And that resolved their relationship because it's just a violence is just men releasing their pent-up gayness.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. You should have an honorary PhD in literature.
Thank you.
I mean, the thing is, I don't think that's worse than the than the main interpretation of it. That's as good as anything. They just fancied each other. That's why he broke up with the girlfriend, right?
Oh, it all makes sense.
It so makes sense, yes.
Brilliant
just to
stuff.
defend that's just how drummers hold drumsticks. Right? some drummers just hold them that way.
But there was so much fluid on the drum.
Drumstick.
The drums were soaking wet. Come on, guys.
Yeah. The hot, sweaty cymbals shimmering.
But wait, what about the blood? Sometimes the drum kit had blood.
Oh, blood and semen are interchangeable in symbolism.
I see.
Did you just decide that, or is this well established?
Wink. I don't know. You'll have to decide for yourselves.
Okay, I think we've got just about everything we can out of this film.
Yeah, I think apart from other things I have written in my notes, which are, one, I identify with Andrew's timekeeping. Yes, even though he was under such immense pressure, he could never be on time. Or late.
Yeah, what's that about? Buy an alarm clock.
Yeah, buy a fucking alarm clock. I might, maybe a little tiny bit, fancy Fletcher, but I wouldn't want to play Scrabble with him.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, yeah, okay. But fancying people doesn't always, I mean, it sometimes means you want to play Scrabble with them, but that's not always.
It usually does for me.
prerequisite.
Well, I just think he'd be a very, very unstable Scrabble player.
Yeah. I think there's something in that.
I think it was a leap of logic that they asked us to believe that a university would fire a professor for abuse.
There's nothing he could have done. Unsackable.
Yep. Yep, those are all my notes.
Cool.
I didn't take notes this time, so I don't have any random thoughts to share.
That's all right. I took a few notes, and none of them were on any particularly good.
Well, neither were mine, but I read them out anyway.
Yeah, that doesn't stop me normally. I'm disappointed I've not come up with any ridiculous symbolism.
Yeah, where's your? Go on. Maybe we just haven't.
My
We
huge
haven't opened
insight.
the floor.
You didn't finish that sentence. Where's my insightful comment?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Cutting analysis.
Bamboozle us, Claire. That's what I would describe it.
Okay.
Pick a classic novel and then just join the dots.
That's not symbolism, that's just the game we play. The drum kit is his protective shell.
Oh.
And he can hide from the world in there. And when he breaks up with nameless woman,
Natalie.
Nicole.
Oh.
Good try, though.
That's him retreating into his shell of the drum kit. And he feels protected from Fletcher when he's there, because he knows that he's skilled enough to prove Fletcher wrong. So the drum kit is like stopping the abuse from getting to him.
Or it's a condom.
Or that.
Yep. No, I think there might be something in that about the... No, I'm being serious. I think that's a good interpretation. What then is the piece that made him step out of his shell and ask the girl out? Like, where does the drumming fit with him?
I think that was the little bit of him that was left that wasn't totally into drumming.
Yeah.
That bit that evaporated when he got too into it.
Yeah, I suppose Fletcher got his claws in deeper and deeper, and the drum kit became
Deeper
both
than
a
Naomi
sanctuary
did.
and a prison.
Yes.
Oh, that's quite good.
Yeah.
Well done. I can't believe we almost got to the end without clear symbolism time. It's my favourite. It's my favourite part of the meeting.
It's good. One of these weeks I will think about it beforehand and maybe say something that's actually useful. But I enjoy the panicked symbolism too much.
You
I
were
quite
drumming
like
improvisado. That's not a word.
Yep. Improvised symbolism.
Yep. Is there a link with gaslight? I feel like there was actually very little gaslighting going on. He was literally just open about being extremely abusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was abuse.
Yeah. Abusive relationship that the partner found it very difficult to get out of.
Dependent abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's just so obvious. There was no bloodthirsty Betty.
No.
No.
But I can...
Bloodthirsty Betty.
From Gaslight! The woman. I can't remember her name.
Miss
That was her nickname.
Dicky Biscuits. Her.
Dicky Biscuits. Oh, yeah, she wasn't there, was she?
It was a very claustrophobic kind of set. We were really inside a lot. We were in the conservatory, or we were in the tiny little room with the drums. Like in Gaslight, felt like the house was penning us in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like the drum kit.
Oh, like the drum kit.
Smash.
Sorry. I forgot how to do like the joke thing with the drum kit.
Okay.
But I didn't do well. Anyway.
I liked Michael's smash, and I hope that was a symbol smash.
Yeah, oh, of course.
Symbol.
Nice.
Symbol smash. See?
Yeah.
Oh. Whew. Well then. Maybe the next film we watch will be less difficult to watch.
Yes. Please.
Better hope you don't get me then.
Wait, so what was the link between Whiplash and Gaslight?
I think there was two.
Claustrophobia of the house and the drum kit, which I think is definitely valid. The abusive, dependent relationship.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Sounds good to me.
Just that unsettled feeling throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Effective use of chiaroscuro.
Yeah, let's say that.
I've just been wanting to use that word since you said it first.
Yeah. Anything else?
No other thoughts from me?
No.
Fernando?
I liked it.
Me too, I think.
It's a no from me.
Oh.
I
Sorry.
liked it, but I didn't like that it endorsed abuse for me.
That makes sense. Well, another great resolution to a wonderful conversation.
Yeah.
It's a
In
real
conclusion,
surprise.
we don't know.
It'll never fail to amaze me that we don't have more listeners. Maybe we should just finish with a slight nod. And
Yeah,
everyone
we'll all nod.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Right, 3, 2, 1. You hear that, listener? Good job. Now get the fuck out of my office.
And bring me pictures of Spider-Man.
3, 2, 1.
Scissors.
Paper. Oh, well done.
Well played, sir.
Yes. So my film is Drugstore Cowboy, 1989.
Drugstore cowboy.